Hello. I like holding books, and I like sniffing books, and I like collecting books. I will say, I am very bad at actually getting around to reading books. So, I wanted to take a minute today and talk about, or at least hold, and maybe sniff, um, some of the books that I am looking forward to reading whenever I get around to reading them. It's almost a TBR, sort of. I guess you could qualify it as a TBR, but really it's just a bunch of books that I have had for a while, that I own, that I'm looking forward to reading, and that I haven't gotten to yet. Or I started it somewhere along the line, and I haven't quite finished it yet. First, let's talk about this one. My friends read this book, and it's entertaining and funny and an easy read, but it's a fun read. I'm about a quarter of the way through, but it smells good. Anyway, go check out Dear Hero. It's one of the books that I am looking forward to reading. An Absolutely Remarkable Thing by Hank Green. I've had this literally since John Green once said, "My brother has a book coming out and you should go pre-order it." And so I did, without even thinking. That's the power of a platform, people. I still sort of don't exactly know what this book is about, but I own it, and I am excited to read it, and I don't know what's going on. One of these days I'll get to it. Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. Before I read this one, though, I kind of want to binge the entirety of the Hunger Games series again. It's been a hot second. I watched the movies in college again, but we all know that that's not exactly the same experience as rereading anything. I remember, as a teenager in high school, really loving the books. There was a reason that they were a fad, what I call a fad title, where everybody started reading them and everything took off, and it was just Hunger Games everywhere. Anyway, that's on the list. The Day the Angels Fell. You guys have seen this book in one of these videos before. It was on a summer TBR list at some point. I still haven't gotten to it. The other day I was going through my computer. This is a tangent, but the other day I was going through my computer and I found my TBR list from 2013. Not very many books had come off of that list, and 90% of the titles I didn't even recognize, so apparently they didn't get onto any other lists either. But I own this book, and it sounds interesting from what I remember of the description. I might just dive in blind, because sometimes I find that that's kind of fun. In fact, that's one of the most effective ways to get me to read anything nowadays, so I might just not know anything about the book before I dive in. Anyway, that's on the list. This book, The Raven by Mike Napa, has been on this TBR list for at least a year. I got it last Christmas. It's one of those books, it's a book by my favorite author, and I want to have the time and the brain space to binge it and just thoroughly enjoy it. I don't know if that will ever happen, or if I'm just holding off on reading it because I'm waiting for a dream when I'll be able to just sit there and read again all day with no other expectations or time constraints or limitations on my focus. That was a little too real. I think I do too many things, and I think part of the reason I'm having trouble reading is because I have too many other things going on in my life and my mind starts spinning. Anyway, this book has been on my list to read for at least a year, and I will get to it in the future. That vague future, again, that I keep talking about, that people talk about. Anyway, it's by my favorite author. If you like suspense, especially if you like supernatural suspense. Check out this author. Next, Last to Die. This book is by a author that I interviewed on my blog at least a year ago, maybe more. And then I was walking through Target once, and I found it, and I was like, oh my gosh, I know that book, and so I bought it. And that's on my TBR list. I think that'll be fun. It's a shorter book, so it should be a quicker read, which might be good to get me back into the swing of just, like, binging something. We'll see, though. That could be good. Could be fun. It's definitely on the list. If you want to go check out that interview, it's on my blog still. You can go find it. I'll put a link down below. And lastly, this book has been on my TBR list, again, for at least over a year, probably closer to like 2, maybe 3. It's been on my list since college. It's written by somebody who graduated from my major. Chandler Birch graduated from the same major at Taylor University that I graduated from. And that's why I know that this book exists. I personally, all of my friends with really good taste said that they loved this book. So that's a pretty good endorsement to me that this is a good book. I just haven't gotten to it yet. But it's on the list. I'll get there. Eventually. Eventually I will read The Face Faker's Game. And all of the other books that I've mentioned. Yeah. This is one of the hardest things about being someone who used to read avidly. I used to be what someone would call an avid reader. I am still a book lover and a bibliophile. I take that back. I can remember the last book that I just binged through, but it has been a hot second. Like, I don't know. I used to read in, like, planes and cars and when I was traveling places. Maybe it's because you have, like, 3 hours where there's no Wi-Fi and there's nothing else you can do. And so I just read. And reading in a hammock has the same effect. But now it's fall, and it's cold, and it's supposed to snow today. And I don't really want to go read in a hammock right now. And or, if I do actually get around to sitting there and reading, part of what happens is that I have about 20 minutes of focus before I get antsy and I'm like, oh, I have to go do other things. But I guess 20 minutes is better than, like, nothing. It's just not quite the binge sesh I'm used to and craving. Anyway, those are all of the books that have been on my list for I don't even know how long, but I'm excited to read someday. I'm sure you have books like this. Go ahead and put the titles down below. I won't judge you. We all have that TBR list in the TBR pile that's just like miles and miles and miles long. Most of this shelf would qualify as my TBR pile. So, suffice it to say, I think I'm going to be at this a while. But those are the books off the top of my head that after looking through my shelf for a little bit, I was filled with a little spark of excitement of, oh, wait, I want to read that. I also have, like, 4 books from the library downstairs. Okay, so, if you remember, back in, like, February, I did a library book haul video where I got, like, 10 books from the library. I'll link them up there. But, because COVID happened, I got to keep almost all of those books for almost this entire time. I say almost because they did finally make me return, like, 3 of them, and I returned 2 of them because I had read them, and I could just, like, drop them off again, and I wasn't planning on rereading them. But, like, I still have books from the library from February, and they haven't made me return them yet, and all I know is that I picked the right month to go to the library. the right week almost to go to the library. I might just try to keep them indefinitely. Just kidding, I won't. If you're a librarian and you're watching this, I used to be a librarian, so I won't try to keep them indefinitely. I will keep them until you force me to return them, though. Okay, until next time, I'll see you then. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed seeing all of these books and just staring at the bookshelves with me, because I like staring at books and I like sniffing them, as I said before. So, yeah, that's it for this video. I'll see you next time. Bye!